There's a lot of upcoming gacha games that seems pretty promising, and if you haven't realized it yet, gacha games are getting more and more popular, so let's go through the ones that I think is in the top 5 that is yet to be released. I think most of these are hopefully not too far away from release, but of course there could be delays and I could be wrong. Also, please be aware that this is not following a ranking system as these games aren't even out yet, so it's too difficult to tell if they will perform after their full release. Number 1. Wuthering Waves. Wuthering Waves is probably one of the most hyped gacha games by the gacha gaming community, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty hyped for this game myself. Wuthering Waves is an open-world action RPG from the developers of Kuro Games, and they are well known for their successful games like Punishing Grey Raven. The combat in this game looks really fun and interactive, and you can dodge attacks if you time it correctly, and some of the boss fights seems pretty challenging. One of the most important things to point out about Wuthering Waves is the game started out to look really bad graphics wise, but the devs kept on improving the game over time and it looks really appealing now. When CBT1 happened, a lot of players were complaining about the story and the devs listened. They completely changed the story for CBT2, which is currently ongoing at the time of me making this video, and people are saying the story is way better. Best of all is they even added the skip button for the story's dialogues, which is great for players that doesn't care about the story and lore of games at all. I'm pretty sure this game will be successful just because the devs are really listening to the community's feedback, which is really important for a successful game, and I am pretty excited to see what they will be changing after CBT2. There's a lot of predictions for when the game will be released, some saying before October 2024 because their license with China will expire, while others are saying they could just renew it if the game is not ready, which makes totally sense to me. For now we don't have any idea, and there could be a CBT3 even for all we know. Number 2. Zenless Zone Zero. Zenless Zone Zero is an upcoming free-to-play urban fantasy action role-playing game developed and published by MiHoYo. Now most people knows that MiHoYo made a lot of successful games in the past, like Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail and even more, so hopefully this will be another great successful game from them. I really like the setting of the game being in a city and running around, but please be aware that this is not another open world game. You basically can explore a bit in the city, and apparently as you progress in the game you will unlock more parts of the city with more things to interact with. For the most part you can get quests from the city and interact with a lot of NPCs, and there's also stores where you can get stuff from, like the food store for food buffs, and there's even an arcade to play some mini games. The game really gives me the idea that it's not only focusing on fighting stuff but also having fun on the side playing mini games. Now unfortunately a lot of players in the community that played the closed beta test said that the TV puzzle system was too interruptive. Now if you don't know what the TV puzzle system is, it's a system to get buffs for a game mode to make your character stronger. But the problem is while you're fighting stuff you would get this minigame and you have to complete it to get the buffs to help you out. But you have to wait for a loading screen, and sometimes it's either time consuming, too easy or unfun according to a lot of the players. I really hope they will address this issue, because besides the TV puzzle system, I do think the game looks really good with the combat and the effort that the devs put in with the characters that really makes a gacha game in general. The good news is that they apparently did improve the TV puzzle system, and it is only seen in one of the game modes now. The game is expected for a 2024 release on PC, iOS, Android and PlayStation 5, but we are still waiting for an exact date. Number 3. Project Mugen. Project Mugen is an urban-themed open-world RPG, which I would say is one of the biggest differences between Zenless Zone Zero and Project Mugen being open-world. The game seems to focus a lot on the open world, and you have a lot of different ways to travel around in this open world, it seems. Even putting swinging into place as one of the ways, and it really looks similar to Spider-Man, which is a game I really enjoyed playing on my PlayStation 1 back in the day. So I'm all down for another game adding this kind of mechanic into their game. There seems to be a day and night cycle in the game, which I really like for better immersion, and I wonder if there will be different things to do depending on the time of the day. The combat also seems pretty good from what I can see, looking a bit similar to Genshin Impact but definitely not the exact same, because it seems like you can control the environment to help you in defeating your enemies and also pushing enemies off of buildings or objects. But it's a bit difficult to judge because we still lack some more in-game footage about the game. The devs also mentioned that they are focusing a lot on a destructive environment where you can destroy objects around you, which is pretty cool. The game also reminds me a bit of GTA style games because not only do you get access to all the vehicles in the open world, you also get messages from characters in the game through a mobile phone telling you to go to places and do stuff, almost like a quest you get from them. You will also be able to access indoor scenes like stores, arcades and even some events from what I can see. I'm definitely hyped for this game and I can't wait to try it out or even just get some more info about Project Mugen. Number 4. Arknight's Endfield. What truly makes Arknight's Endfield stand out for me is the fact that unlike most of these gacha games inspired by Genshin Impact and some others using a character swap system, you have a real-time party system in Arknight's Endfield where all of your characters are out there in the world following you and attacking your enemies at the same time. This really means a lot to me since I grew up playing games like these all the time. The game really seems to try something new and bringing in some uniqueness with the building system that looks really complicated to me at first, but I'm pretty sure it isn't that bad, and apparently according to the players that tried out the game, in the technical alpha test you get used to it quite fast, and on top of that it's also really rewarding if you set up a good base, giving you all the materials you need to build a completely new character while not needing to do any grind for it, which you get quite often in any gacha game. Through the building system you can also build zip lines to make it faster to travel around and a lot of other stuff like a storage, so I really don't think it's a bad idea at all. As for the combat, like I mentioned earlier, I really like the real-time party combat system and there seems to be really good boss fights in this game. Some people in the alpha test did complain though that there were no dodge system, but since I didn't play in the alpha test, I'm not too sure if it will be necessary for a dodge system. Regardless, it was only a test and it's not the final stage of the game. I really like the graphics interface and the new approach the developers of this game is trying with new things, making the game unique. That alone is enough for me to be sold to at least give the game a shot, since not a lot of games these days tries out something new and I get it. It can be a bit of a risk, but sometimes worth taking for success. Number 5. Breakers Unlock the World. Breakers, or better known as Breakers Unlock the World, is a Japanese style anime RPG gacha and the game seems pretty good. It reminds me a lot about anime, which is the theme they're going for with this game. There isn't a lot of info about the game for global, so I will use my Japanese skills to translate the important stuff, so stick around and make sure you don't miss out. The game seems to be very story driven and with also side quests like most games, and you seem to have different characters with different attributes like nature and water and fire and so on. Also some abilities and specializations. Like one of the characters they showcased in the gameplay trailer, Rizu, or in English Liz, is strong against shielded targets, dealing more damage to them. And she also has a passive giving her a 20% movement speed boost when climbing walls and stuff. Then we also have Shion that can interrupt spellcasting. We also got a glimpse of the in-game menu, which gave us a huge amount of information. Going through them, there seems to be a ranks level, world level and a mileage level. Also on the menu there's events, breakers, which are the characters, items, shop, gacha, quests, achievements, adventure book, your team, friends, guilds, map, codex and a help button. Now I will say I was quite surprised to see a guild system. I'm not quite sure if it will actually be a guild system for online to socialize with other players, or if it will only be an in-game NPC guild thing, but it does look like the online one to me, but of course this isn't confirmed. Now while the game looks really good and I can't wait to try out the beta test for this game, the reason why we don't hear much of this game for now is because the developers VIC Game Studios has only been doing closed beta tests in Japan so far, and there's only a YouTube and Twitter or X channel for both Korean and Japanese. It sadly seems like the global audience will have to wait a bit longer for official information from the devs, but hopefully not too long. The good news is that in an interview by 4Gamer, a Japanese game news website that asked the devs at Tokyo Game Show 2023 if the closed beta test in 2024 will be for the Korean players first, the devs answered saying it will be at the same time for both Korea and Japan. So that gives me hope that the game will be released at the same time for all regions, but of course we don't know yet. Another question asked by 4Gamer was how the monetization for this game will work, coming from an answer saying that it will be through getting your favorite new characters from the Gacha system, while also giving away essential characters for free through the story to not hit a wall in the game. And they're also thinking of adding a boost reward system, so my wild guess would be a game pass or some kind of pay to win feature, giving you bonus rewards like most games does nowadays. I'm really hyped for these games and I can't wait to try them out, but let me know which games you are hyped for the most in 2024.